So, I don't remember. We fought through this secret line before we got to the Battle of the Bulge. I think we did, I believe.
Okay.
I think. And then they pulled us from the Ninth Army to help the First Army here, where the Germans had already run through them, I think. And so they pulled us. We got orders to pack up and leave immediately, because and so we traveled all night long, just about. No lights, couldn't run no lights. Then we got to Marseille, and they told us to make a stand there. If it cost every man, not to give any ground, and that's what we did. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Germans first. I think we got there a little before the Germans had reached Marseille, but I think maybe we might have met about the same time, because we started running into the Germans, but they were driving American Jeeps and dressed in American uniforms, and we were a little confused, who was who, and until you tried to interview one of them or something, or talk to them or something, and you knew they didn't take long. They found out who they were, and so we fought there. About started after Marseille. We had some battles there at Marseille. Two times there, I almost lost my life, and that's the reason I want to go back. We was in Marseille there, and we went in and got in the courtyard building, and while we was in there, the Germans sent a bunch of artillery on top of us. They started. I started running and crawled onto a GI truck, one of our trucks or something. But before I got there to it, the bullet, the artillery blasted it and blew it all to pieces. And so we went back to the building, and I went up right up against it and started crying and praying to God and to don't let me die here. And it wasn't no time till all of the artillery stopped. About the same time, two angels flashed right up above me. What can I say? God protected me. And another time, at Marseille, there's a kind of a high, I guess a mountain like, I think best I remember, Marseille kind of down in the valley, and there's a mountain, am I right? I think so. Next time we moved, had to move up underneath some rocks and stuff up there on that mountain, and where we could just look up and see, we could see the Germans way off from us, not too far. They were coming this way, and so we, but before we let them come in much further, we called back to our guns for artillery support, and we laid some barrages on them, and our own bullets, I could almost reach up and pull one out of there, it went right over our heads and into the Germans. Okay. And that's how I started there in Marseille. Yeah. Just started fighting and pushing the Germans back up towards Bastogne, and we fought them from there all the way back up to Bastogne. And then they pulled us back and sent us back to the north, the Ninth Army Division, not Army, but the Ninth Army. And then that's when, about the time, I guess, that we started that push. Just overrunning the Germans, and they was leaving pockets of German fighters. They didn't even know that we had already passed them or anything until later on, and so I took in some prisoners there right along the way there, somewhere 5 prisoners. I was walking by the edge of this brush and just looking for a place. I think we was looking for a place for to set up the guns. They was moving so fast and stuff. And I heard something. I just turned around and looked at my shoulder like that. And the little old white flag was just waving. And so I hit the deck and hollered, and they started pouring out of they had a ditch they dug from a house way over on the other side of the brush. They had ditch dug down in there, and every now and then they have I guess what they call a nice living room, kitchen, because that's, and so I hollered at a buddy. He went that way, and of course I went this way on the side of the brush, and I happened to be the one that caught the German 5. I think it's 5 of them. But when they started coming out of that dugout like thing, I thought it was Cox's army coming out of there. To me, what it looked to me, I was afraid that, and so, but we took them down to the highway and turned them over to the military police, and we kept going, and because we crossed a few rivers, we'd already, I think, crossed the Rhine River, and another one, I forget, the Lohr or something like that, and so we made it to the Elbe River, and they stopped us, and if they hadn't stopped us, we would have took Berlin 2 weeks before the Russians took Berlin. Roosevelt and Churchill and Stalin all agreed, I guess, previously that they would let the Russians take Berlin. Of course, that kind of teed us off a little bit. We had to sit there, and all the time we were sitting there, most of the time anyway, there was Germans after German soldiers surrendered to us. They'd swim the river and surrender us. They didn't want to surrender to the Russians because I think Russians they treated them bad, so I think they wanted the opportunity to. So we had a little time there where there wasn't anything coming or surrendering. So we stripped off all of our clothes and went swimming in the Elbe River. And I have a picture of us naked, but we used our helmet to cover our privates. And you can ask Jeff, he saw the picture, he sees the picture, it's sitting on my desk at home. And so that was kind of the end of the war right there. Yeah.
Do you remember, did you meet any civilians during the Battle of the Bulge, maybe?
No, not until after the war was over. I met quite a few of them after that, yeah. But we I didn't have enough of points. They were letting you go back home with so many, you had to have so many points. That's how they picked us to go back home. I didn't have enough to go on the first bunch. So we had to stay there and occupy Germany, for a short time. But first, before, they dropped the bomb over there in Japan, we were training to catch a plane, fly there, and help the guys that was fighting over. But thank God, before we had to do that they dropped that atomic bomb. We were pretty happy. Yeah.
You were in the artillery as an artillery observer.
I was a forward observer. I carried a radio on my back. Binoculars, my field glasses, you know, and I operated the radio. There was a lieutenant and a jeep driver, the three of us. They had a 50 caliber machine gun mounted in that jeep, and I was sitting in the back. I controlled it when we was traveling. Yeah.
And during the Battle of the Bulge, did you get some difficulties doing your job because of the weather condition or anything else?
The weather was horrible. Oh my God, it was. I don't know, between Marche and Bastogne, I don't know just exactly where all that ice and snow and everything, and it was so bad. I had heard it. At one time I heard it was 70 below zero. I don't know, but some people say that it was around 50 below, and we were cold. I mean, tell you, we were cold.
Did you stay all the time outside in foxholes, or sometimes did you get some rest? Or
yeah, we stayed outside all the time. We pushing, you know, and patting his tanks was there. We was kind of attached to them, kind of. I think vice versa. I don't know just exactly. And that was pretty bad. But my feet, legs were frozen. They froze, I think. Maybe not completely, but the medic got circulation back. Some of the guys that had to be sent to London to have their feet amputated because it was frozen, and I think when they're completely frozen, they're no good no more. I think. And then, you know, bodies of the guys that lost their lives, it didn't take long if the medics, if they didn't get to them, and that it wouldn't take long, their bodies would freeze solid. And I know that when they start picking them up, their arms would pop off, legs or heads would pop off their bodies because they were so frozen so hard it was like brittle, I guess. You know, it was pretty bad. And then we pushed the Germans back up to Bastogne, and then I guess. Between Marche and Bastogne, the officer left to go back to the guns for I don't know what for or something, but he left me up there by myself with the line, the infantry. They were there, but I was, when it come to that observation team, I was the only one there, and I was watching. Looked off to my left, 5 Tiger tanks coming out of the brush and stopped. And so I immediately called for a barrage on top of them. But I could lay there or sit there and watch those bullets just bounce off those Tiger tanks, just going this way. No damage at all, you know. And they wasn't there very long till they turned around, went back in the brush. I'd never seen them before. I think he was looking for a place to escape because we were already tightened up, pushing them into the First Army, you know, more. So that was, but we were cold.
Do you remember, maybe close to Bastogne, having been to a small city called Oufalise? Oufalise, do you remember? No, maybe.
I don't know exactly what you mean. You mean
It's a small town close to Bastogne, which was heavily bombed and destroyed.
Well, I don't remember.
Yeah, too many.
Yeah, it might probably, maybe so. But my memory is no good at all anymore. Hardly, it's good. I can remember some of the stuff.
You still have a very good memories, I think.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of the story-like thing. But it was. I can say that's one thing. War is hell. Yeah. For everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, sir, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for what you did, and for explaining us also your personal story during the battle here and in Europe.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you for coming back.
Yeah, I'm very happy to come back and see, but I never thought I'd have that chance before. But Tracy and Jeff, and they talked me into coming back.
This is some gift from the museum. Belgian chocolate.
Yeah.
That's for the Christmas tree.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's a Belgian beer.
All right. Okay, great. Fantastic.
The book from the museum.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And here is also a small book about the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah, okay.
And in this book, we talk about your division.
Yeah, okay, great.
Going in the different place.
Yeah.
It's especially focused on G Company. I know you were in
Cannon Company in the 335th Regiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is G from the 335th or so,
Mhm.
but it's another company. But it's
good.
you were almost in the same, and most of the time in the same villages, in the same towns.
There's the guns right there. That's cannons. That looks like them short. There wasn't no long barrel.
Yeah, those are it.
That's it, isn't it?
Those are it.
Yes, yeah.
That's your guns.
Yeah, that's it.
It might be this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Il était mis que c'était le
I think we had
84e.
there was 5 of them or 7 of them. I don't remember. Of those.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I calls back to is these guns. And those guys would push the ammunition in the breech and fire away. And they had ammunition guys standing back here handing them the shit.
And loaded and
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
So yes, it's different. You're from the region, and so I'll let you discover the book
That's
another
okay.
time.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I
Oh.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I needed that chocolate bar, or a bunch of them. Go through Paris, went through Paris, and little kids was coming out of the buildings there in Paris, and he's hollering, chocolate, 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 chocolate. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Always.
I don't know, je ne sais pas si.
Yeah.